government of change. Operations of the armed forces of Nigeria.
President popular are involved in all complex situations.
Once upon a time, for many years back, and by February 2015, Nigerian sovereign and territorial integrity has been effectively violated by the then boastful and prancing Boko Haram insurgents, a situation that drew global attention with its concomitant effect that left sore taste of stories on the minds of many Nigerians. By May 29, 2015, the country saw a new glimmer of hope and commitment in improving security in the new government of change of President Muhammadu Buhari, who made security a cardinal pillar of his administration.
Insecurity, pervasive corruption, the hitherto unending and seemingly impossible fuel and power shortages are the immediate concerns. We are going to tackle them head on.
It is not surprising the successes recorded in the defense and security sector in the last 3 years, going by the intimidating military and political records of President Muhammadu Buhari. The result of the president's visit to the neighboring countries of Lake Chad Basin to solicit their support to fight a common enemy on assumption of office was part of the solid foundation for today's victory over the insurgents. Working to realize the dreams of the government in the defense sector, priorities were outlined with the issue of personnel welfare, infrastructure development, procurement, accountability, training and transparency in the sector given a focus.
In changing what it used to be, first the defense policy, a committee was formed up and it was asked to look into the activities of the armed forces.
Keeping a date with history, May 29 marks the 3rd-year anniversary in office of one of Nigeria's finest leaders, President Muhammadu Buhari. And the appointment of Mansur Muhammad and Ali as the Honorable Minister of Defense came at a time his wealth of experience in defense and security matters was most needed. It is said that a good wine needs no bush, describes this general who has become a square peg in square hole and has left no one in doubt as to the colossal achievements the sector stood to benefit.
The defense sector reforms could not become effective without the strong will of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Virtually in the last 3 years, things have been put in place. First and foremost, the equipment, where the worn-out equipment are replaced. Some new procurement was made.
Fully aware of the necessity and demand of the time, threat to lives and property, the master strategist began the patriotic work of restoration of lost glory and rebuilding of the nation's security and sectoral reforms of the armed forces architecture that has today revamped and rejigged the entire sector in line with one of President Muhammadu Buhari's 3 cardinal promises of his administration.
The armed forces morale was very shallow and low. The equipment were worn out and the welfare of the personnel was also very sharply down. So with the President's directive that security should be given priority, we came up with what we call defense sector reforms. It involves a lot of things. The professionalization of the armed forces, which without the professionalism, the armed forces cannot perform its constitutional duties given to them.
Pursuant to a total overhaul of the approach and operations of the armed forces of Nigeria, no stone was left unturned in the reforms and commitment to address the then collapse of the fabric of security in the country. part of which include the immediate change in military leadership that gave new direction and impetus to the military. The onerous job began with strategic thinking and fixing of the Nigerian armed forces to correct the narrative of lamentation of a nation threatened by insurgency for almost a decade and other security challenges such as ethno-religious violence in the north-central, armed banditry in the west, cattle rustling in the northwest, kidnapping for ransom, militancy and violent agitations in the south-south was changed with the commitment of a government of change.
At the time of my appointment, Boko Haram was in control of about 13 out of the 26 local government area in Borno State. Troops, morale, and fighting efficiency was at its low ebb. Following the strategic directive of Mr. President, I evolved a vision for the armed forces of Nigeria, which is to ensure a well-motivated, trained, and equipped armed forces that is responsive to national security commitment. The core pillars of my vision are motivation, training, and equipment. These three pillars are germane to a high level of operational readiness. Therefore, we have improved tremendously on the state of operational readiness of the armed forces by diligently pursuing this vision.
We saw the new political will, new determination. So we wasted no time in aligning with his vision, with his also mission to ensure that we rid our country of this insurgency.
Section 14, subsection 2, paragraph B of the 1999 Constitution as amended states that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. In recognition of this constitutional provision, the administration of President Buhari, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Defense, Mansur Muhammad Ali, has accorded special priority to the sector with far-reaching roadmap. The Ministry of Defense, through the Armed Forces of Nigeria, have recorded successes since the inception of His Excellency, President Buhari's administration, particularly in the area of degrading Boko Haram terrorists in the northeast and reducing insecurity and criminalities in the Niger Delta and other parts of the country.
Nigeria has been able to stand in the Committee of Nations in terms of armed forces. Our armed forces are always there and strong enough to fight our problem, and globally it's been acknowledged. Of recent, our president was in America, USA, and it was a very good outing whereby the president of United States of America, Trump, recognized the importance of Nigeria armed forces in the regional setting. So I believe we had a credible and strong military that can support the nation throughout this crisis or security problem.
We had to restructure the Navy to be able to meet with the challenges. The Navy is now carrying out a lot of area operations, as well as extending its operations inland. That saw it establish an NOP, naval operating post, naval outpost in Lake Chad. Aside the challenges of the BHT in that region, the economic benefits of maintaining peace and security in the area cannot be overstated.
The political will and support of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces gave boost to the cherished story of successes recorded by the military in collaboration with other security agencies against enemies of the state. This has gone a long way to redeem the country's image and boost confidence in the minds of the citizenry that the days of compromising the security and well-being of Nigeria and Nigerians is over.
So a lot of countries, as I'm talking to you, have a memo to Federal Executive Council that will be presented for all MOAs to be bilateral agreements that will be cemented between Russia, Turkey, and Germany, so many other countries, France also. So it has a very big impact. Apart from the equipment that we used to get, we also get specialized training.
The relocation of the Military Command and Control Center to the theater of operation from the onset, as contained in a presidential directive, has remained historic and has significantly succeeded in boosting the morale of the troops, as the epic center of the crisis became the operational base of the Military High Command and, of course, the establishment of Operation Lafia Dule Theater Command, which has today justified the intent and purpose. The determination to secure every part of the country saw the introduction of different internal security operations of the armed forces, such as Operations Awase, Delta Safe, Mesa, Harbin Kunama, Safe Haven. Others includes Operations Iron Force, Gamma Aiki 1 and 2 by Multinational Joint Task Force, Crocodile Smile, Python Dance, and the recent being Operation Cat Race in the North Central, and Sharon Daji, which the President personally launched in Ensado village in Zamfara State. Operation Last Hope came up as a final onslaught on Boko Haram. It is no longer news that the armed forces of Nigeria have successfully degraded the capacity of Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast to regroup and carry out deliberate attacks like before. The much-acclaimed Camp Zero has been liberated and now converted to a training area named after fallen hero, late Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Abu Ali. Worthy of note within these 3 years of success journey in the defense sector is a complete reversal of trend in the occupation of territories, as about 60% of Borno, Yobe and Adamawa states under the occupation of the terrorists 3 years ago were reclaimed. So far, over 30,000 persons, mainly women and children, held hostage by the terrorists, including 106 Chibok schoolgirls and the Dakchi schoolgirls, have been rescued. With no one still left in doubt in the chronicle of a committed government's effort to rescue lives and property of citizens under President Muhammadu Buhari, the reforms have yielded positive results and a significant departure from the past since its creation in 1958. The Ministry of Defense has reviewed the defense policy and conducted military pension verification, and over 20,000 ghost workers were discovered in the payroll system. This exercise has saved government huge resources.
In the recent past, we've had verification conducted by the Ministry of Defense in conjunction with the Pension Board and Defense Headquarters to carry out a verification exercise. And the purpose of that is to ensure that you block leakages, update pensioners' records, and then of course you improve on the integrity of the database.
As part of the commitment, the ministry also facilitated the administration of Group Life Assurance Scheme for members of the armed forces. The reforms also touched the pension scheme.
The Group Life Assurance Scheme, it's a welfare scheme put in place by the federal government, and it is solely to help alleviate the sufferings of the next of kins of deceased officers and men who lose their lives in order for us to sleep well, in order to ensure that the country is safe and one. The men in uniform are extremely excited about this program.
As part of the foresight of the current leadership to bridge the educational and research gap in the armed forces, the Nigerian Army and Navy established Nigerian Army University in Biu in Borno State and Admiralty University located in Ibusa, Delta State. Like never before in the last 3 years, there is now a steady increase in the recruitment and enlistment into the armed forces with enhanced capacity development, so as to withstand the growing need for personnel and complex nature of operations to counter insurgency and other forms of criminalities in the country.
In the past 3 years, we have built on the capacity of our personnel to deal with these threats through creation of new units and varied capabilities. Our force structure has also been reviewed in line with the current realities to provide the requisite capability to contain this asymmetric threat to the nation.
I'm contented, I'm satisfied with the level of security that's been attained across the country, despite a new phase, a new challenge like the hardest farmers clash, issue of kidnappings. These are challenges, but if you look at it strictly speaking, it's more or less of a civil police and internal security situation where the relevant agencies, should provide more intelligence and handle them appropriately. But we've been called out to also do that. Otherwise, I'm well satisfied with the defeat of the Boko Haram terrorists. I'm well satisfied with keeping Nigeria intact, with maintaining her own territorial integrity despite the challenges. I'm satisfied that the Nigerian army is more professional than ever before.
As part of the defense sectoral reforms under the new order of battle, 2 new divisions, 6 in Port Harcourt and 8 in Sokoto, were established by the Nigerian Army, with a plan to have a brigade in all the 36 states of the Federation. The new Army divisions is no doubt helping to enhance security along neighboring countries of Cameroon, Niger, and Republic of Chad, as well as in the riverine areas of the Niger Delta. Without mincing words, the Ministry of Defense, under the able leadership and direction of Mansour Mohammed and Ali, carried out review of the order of battle.
Terrorism is not a single country's problem. Terrorists can be seen today in Nigeria, next tomorrow you can find him in other places. So it has to be joint efforts whereby all of us come together globally to fight a common problem. We have started it at regional level by the forming of this multinational joint task force. If you can see the effort being made by these countries of Chad, Cameroon, Niger, and Benin Republic also join us, including Nigeria. If you join, you see the effort of the countries coming together to fight a common phenomenon like the Boko Haram that we are having at hand.
To enhance rapid and aggressive response, the Nigerian Army established many forward operational bases across the country with a view to supporting tactical operations and to cover any likely security gap, especially around the border regions. The latest is the 4th Muhammadu Buhari Commission by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukuri Suburatai, in Daura, Katsina State. Among the priorities of the leadership being demonstrated in the last 3 years is in the area of training of personnel within and outside the country. Special forces in asymmetric warfare were trained to handle myriads of security challenges like handling of improvised explosive devices that have ravaged the Northeast. The determined clear-cut vision and unfettered commitment of the present administration has also helped to serve and improve the security around the maritime domain. It is on record, the President and Commander-in-Chief commissioned more platforms for the Nigerian Navy in Lagos. They include 2 new ships, Nigerian Navy Unity, NNS, and Centenary from China, NNS Karaduna and Tugboat Commander.
What we have for now has moved us from where we were with the various acquisitions of vessels that enable us to operate in the open seas up to the EEZ, and then the backwaters, our ability to dominate the backwaters. We have that response capability, which perhaps has seen to an improved security situation in the maritime space.
Edwin Ogu were locally built and commissioned into the Nigerian Navy, a height President Muhammadu Buhari commended, noting that the ingenuity of the Nigerian Navy complement government's effort by looking inwards to construct and improvise some vital operational tools. Over 100 boats were injected into the Nigerian Navy fleet for maritime activities.
As at September ending, The Navy, through the various units, had been able to deactivate over 1,000 illegal refining sites, and that effort is yielding some dividend, and we do hope that with the concerted effort and synergy on all those who are involved, the situation should be able to get better.
Similarly, this renewed commitment and support of the Buhari administration has led to the establishment of war colleges by the Army, Navy and Air Force with the view to building the capacity of middle-level officers in the application of operational doctrine and war-fighting principles. The war colleges have since graduated its first sets.
With the support, with the initiative from Ministry of Defense, we were able to realize that there is actually need to have a course that is in between senior staff course and the defense college, and that's how the idea of establishing a war college came about. And I want to give that credit specifically to the Honorable Minister of Defense, who actually identified the need that for us to really be effective, to have very effective and commanders who understand the challenges associated with air operations, and particularly the coordination between air and land elements and sea elements as well, and came out with this idea. And for us in the Air Force, we are about to round up the second course, and very soon the third. We are nominating officers for the third course, course 3. And from the graduates, the first graduates, we are beginning to see that they are coming in to add a lot of value to what we are doing. The better they now understand all the intrigues and all the complex situations that we are likely to be dragged into in support of Nigeria's strategic interests, whether it's within or outside.
The Nigerian Air Force also keyed into this by establishing a Special Operations Command.
The establishment of the additional commands, which is the Special Operations Command with headquarters in Bauchi and units in Gusau, in Owerri, in Ipetu Ijesha, in Kerang, have actually done a lot in making it possible for us to really be effective in dealing with the contemporary security challenges. Today we have all these units. The one in Gusau is a special force unit that is there to assist other security agencies in dealing with issues of cattle rustling and other criminalities in that area.
In his display of uncommon spirit of leadership, he graciously released 2 helicopters from the Presidential Air Fleet to the Nigerian Air Force, as well as 6 helicopters transferred from the Nigerian Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. The most recent is the induction by Defense Minister on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari of 2 Mi-35 sophisticated helicopters deployed in the ground attack in the northeast to boost operations. This is in addition to other platforms.
For us in the Air Force, every addition of an air asset has a way of impacting positively in what we're doing. The coming of the President Buhari administration, we have added quite a number of platforms into the inventory of the Air Force. If those acquisitions were not made, it simply means that we would not have been able to train the number of pilots we have trained so far, and that will mean that those that we already have will be overstressed.
More importantly, contracts for the purchase of 12 Super Tucano aircraft from the United States have been approved. In February 2018, President Buhari commissioned Zegumi, an unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) produced by the Nigerian Air Force engineers. In addition, more than 80 young pilots from the rank of wing commanders have been trained. This is against the previous practice where only very senior officers constitute the bulk of the fighter pilots.
By and large, in the last 2 years or thereabout, we have recruited over 4,000 unemployed Nigerians who are today employed in the service and contributing to the development of Nigeria and contributing to the effort to make sure Nigeria is secured. All these units we have established, how are we going to populate those units if we don't have people? And that, I think, is adding a lot of value.
Against the era of impunity and abuse of acquisition of military platforms, Now, the procurement process of military equipment has been through new government-to-government policy of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, which means the Ministry of Defense will buy equipment and platform directly from the original manufacturers. This is why the US government has now agreed to sell some military platform to Nigeria, going by the sincerity of purpose of the Buhari-led administration and the war against terror.
Hitherto, before this administration, we used to have agents whereby you go and give somebody, go and buy this for us. Somebody doesn't even know what 9.2 mm ammunition is. You give him to go and buy aircraft or go and buy armored car. Will that person perform? No. And that is why when this administration comes into being, for transparency and honesty, integrity, they introduce what we call government-to-government procurement procedure. I will give you an example. The American Super Tucano. It was a contract between the government of America and government of Nigeria. It was signed, sealed, and paid.
So everything has been done transparently, and so far we have not had any complaints by members of the public.
As the Chairman Armed Forces Council, the President has been of colossal support with timely approval in times of security exigencies. The counter-terrorism approach by the armed forces has also made a far-reaching impact in the Northeast. Peace has gradually returned to the region. Internally displaced persons are reuniting with their country home. Farming and business activities hitherto the administration was impossible is now a reversal of trend as life has since picked up and many roads open for business transactions.
You cannot ever have 100%. We are doing our best, and the populace also have to add. Apart from the political situation, there are some other ones are political incitement, indictment, and a lot of hate speeches, lies being put across the media. So all I advise the nation is everybody should be up and do, instead of using the social media propagating wrong signals.
As the Buhari government continued to consolidate on the gains of security in the last 3 years, the government is not relenting in its hours to secure the release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls and one Dapchi schoolgirl. The promise has been kept.